If you're trying to build a career in cloud engineering and feeling stuck, maybe you have been in IT for a while, got some certification, let me share something with you. I've been working in Azure Cloud for a while, a Microsoft certified trainer, and now I run cloud consulting practice. The path from where you are today to where you want to be looks nothing like what training courses suggest. Today, I want to share 5 lessons that I learned the hard way while building my cloud career. It's not the polished LinkedIn version, it's the actual path that I followed and the reality of what it takes. Alright, lesson number 1, and it might sting a little bit. Certifications won't actually get you hired. Now, before you freak out, let me explain. Certification do get you past the recruiters as they prove that you know the basics and the skill sets to understand the cloud. But when you're sitting in the interviews or when you are on your first client call, nobody cares what you know about Azure policy. They care if you have actually used it to solve a real world problem. You need to fill the gap between passing an exam versus implementing something in the production environment. The exam asks you to choose the right service for the scenario. The production asks you to fix something when it breaks at 2 a.m. Troubleshoot it under the pressure and explain it to non-technical stakeholders in the morning. Here's what I did differently, and I would tell you to do the same. Don't just study for the exams. Build things. Actually build cloud environments. Break them and fix them on your own. Deploy a virtual machine, Azure Virtual Desktops, Function app, Logic apps, set up conditional access policy, automate something with PowerShell, and then try to use Azure CLI to see how it compares. Certifications matter, don't get me wrong, but experience even in your own virtual lab is actually what will make you hireable. And if you're wondering how to get the experience without having a job that requires the experience, here's what worked for me. I offered to help my company on a small project that they were doing for a cloud migration. I volunteered to do the migration and help them deploy AVD before we rolled it out to company-wide. I made mistakes in the small environments so that I wouldn't make them in the higher production environments later on. Lesson number 2, you will break something in production, and that's actually okay. This was hard for me. I thought good engineers don't break things. I thought if I just plan perfectly, test everything thoroughly, things may just work fine. I remember in one of my early projects in AVD, I had set up conditional access policy for all the users and rolled them out to everybody company-wide. I made sure I tested everything before rolling it out. Within half an hour, people were not able to connect to the system. There were so many requests coming in, and I'm sitting there thinking, I followed everything fine, I tested this, what went wrong? Real environments are messy. Users have nested group memberships, legacy authentication system, and some things you can't really factor in for. Testing I did was on the clean environment that did not have any actual complexity in the real world environment that you would face. So here's what I learned from that and something that you need to know before going into this career. Breaking things is part of the learning process. It's not ideal, but it's not inevitable. The difference between a junior engineer and a senior one isn't that senior don't break things. It's just they know how to fix it faster and build a system that minimizes these kind of disasters. Second, always have a rollout plan. Now I implement things in phases. I use report only mode for conditional access policies to deploy them safely and test them. I test with small groups of users before expanding so I can catch any issues early on. And I document the full process, so if I need to roll back, I can go back to what changes were made. Third one, and this is important, if you do break something, own it. Don't hide it or blame it on somebody else. Just say, I deployed it had an unintended impact and I'm going to fix it. And also here's what I will do differently next time. That responsibility, taking the ownership and learning from it is what builds the trust with your team and the clients. Lesson number 3 is you cannot learn all of the Azure at once, so please stop. When I started, I thought I need to learn all of the services because that's what you feel when you're looking at Azure portal, right? There are hundreds of services and it feels like you need to take all of them seriously. But here's the reality. Nobody knows all the services in Azure. Not the people at Microsoft, not the MVPs, nobody. Focus on 1 or 2 services and go deep into them. Learn how the authentication system works. If you're working with a service, understand all the concepts and the nuances about it. The best one is to understand how you can architect these services for scale and disaster recovery. I did that for myself early on with AVD, Intune, and other services. And today when somebody thinks of any AVD questions, they instantly message me for help. Instead of competing with everybody who knows a little bit of everything, I became the person they call whenever AVD issues come up. That specialization made me more valuable, not less. Now, that doesn't mean you need to learn just one service. You still need to understand all the services like virtual machine, virtual network, storage, compute, all the foundation pieces that work in cloud. But you need to anchor. You need something you will be known for. Whatever it is, go deep on it, learn all the concepts, build real implementation, write down about it on LinkedIn or your blog post, or make a video about it. Become a person who actually understands how things work in production environment. Because when companies hire for these cloud engineer or consultants, they're not hiring somebody who just passed the exam. They're hiring somebody who can specifically solve their problem. And specialists solve problem better than generalists. Lesson number 4, the mindset shift. My shift from corporate IT to consulting is bigger than I thought. When I was working in corporate IT, My goal was to keep things running. Stability was the end goal, so I would implement something, document it, and maintain it. The success metric was uptime of the system and the user satisfaction. When I started consulting, everything changed. Suddenly, I wasn't just implementing. I was also selling, scoping, building architectures, managing client expectations, and thinking about the business impact of the solution that we are offering them. In corporate IT, if something took me 2 weeks to figure out, project still moved forward. In consulting, if something takes me longer, I either have to eat those hours myself or I have to explain to the client why the project is taking too long. In the corporate IT, I could just say it's best practice. Whereas in consulting, you would literally have to explain to client why it is best practice and help them make a decision that fits their specific needs. The technical skills were pretty much same, but the business skill, the communication, the time management, that's what took me time to develop. Here's what helped me make the transition. First, I started thinking of business outcome, not the technical implementation. Instead of I'll set up Azure Virtual Desktop, I started thinking I'll help this client save time and be able to work remotely while reducing their cost of the infra by X percentage. Second, I got better at estimating time and setting clear boundary and expectations. If I didn't know how long something would take, I would let them know upfront. I would give them a range. I'll build in contingency because client trust is built on realistic expectations, not optimistic results. Third, I learned to ask better questions before starting any project. Not just what kind of technology you want, but what problem are you trying to solve? What's working now? What's not working now? What does success look like for you in the future? If you're thinking of making the shift from corporate IT to consulting, know that it's not just the technical requirement and getting more certifications. It's about building that business mindset and learning how to translate technology into client value. The fifth lesson is your network matters more than you think. I used to think this was just a motivational LinkedIn nonsense. Your network is your net worth. But I'm a technical person. I'll just be really good at Azure and the work will speak for itself. That's not how it works. Almost every consulting opportunity I've gotten have come from somebody I know. Former colleague who moved to a new company, or somebody who need help, someone who saw my video and reached out, or a connection I have made at Microsoft event who remembered me as an AVD guy. You don't have to go out these networking events and hand out your business cards, and you don't have to pretend that you love small talks. What works is sharing what you already know. Write about it on your website, make a video about it, or share it on LinkedIn. When you help somebody solve their problem, they definitely remember you. And when you share somebody's work, they pay attention. And that's the reason why I am building this channel, because AVD is my specialization. This thing positions me as somebody who knows Azure Virtual Desktop deeply. So if you're building your cloud career, don't just focus on technical skills. Think about how you are building visibility. Are you sharing what you're learning, or are you helping somebody? Alright. Those are 5 lessons. Certifications are important, but experience is what matters. You are going to break things in production and be okay with it. Specialization will make you more valuable than anybody else. The mindset shift from corporate IT to consulting is real. Finally, the networking matters more than you think. These are not the things they teach you in certification courses, but these are the things I wish somebody had told me years ago. I would love to hear from you which one of these resonate most with you, or what's something that you have learned in your cloud career that surprised you. Drop a comment and let me know. Thank you for watching. If this was helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I'm Praveen Singh and I will see you in the next one. Until then, stay curious and keep building.